Hello YouTube, 1986 back again to deliver more knife snobbery in my horrible grating voice. And today we're going to talk about this pair of Microtech Tachyon IIIs that I have. Now if you're not familiar with either of the predecessors to this knife, I'd encourage you to go find any of the videos on YouTube that showcase and explain them, but the point is, the Tach 1 and the Tach 2 were both sandwich-style balisongs with titanium handle slabs and T-latches, which is what I'd say most of what's out there in the balisong market today is. But the channel-style spring-latched balisong has always held a special place in the hearts of balisong enthusiasts, and Microtech apparently heard that hue and cry and delivered us this in 2015. With all of the features we said we wanted, and one that many people could have done without, which was its $1,000 price point. And that, to my mind, leads to a bit of confusion in the target market for the Tachyon III. Now, these are the Damascus editions of the Tachyon III, and they are pretty much exclusively targeted at collectors. Their price point is $1,500. And, you know, people like me, who have more money than sense, which is not to say that I have a lot of money, just that I have very little in the way of sense, we can justify blowing that kind of money on these knives. But, I mean, for your flippers out there, you know, $1,000. The interesting thing is, there are features on the Tach 3 which I've seen flippers favorably review on YouTube, like the rounded handles and these diamond slots cut into the handles near the pivots, you know, for precise thumb and forefinger control. But there are knives out there like the Alpha Beast which are optimized for flippers both in terms of design and price point. So, you know, what's the incentive to go another $600 up to get a Tachyon III to flip? But these two, the Damascus editions, I quite appreciate these as a collector. You know, when Microtech came out with the Tachyon III originally, they basically just released a bunch of subtle permutations of it with, you know, largely superfluous changes to fit and finish. There was, if you recall, there was a mirror polish version and a satin version and a stonewash version and a DLC version, and all at a price point of, you know, between $1,000 and $1,500 depending on the finish. And, you know, nowadays they're re-releasing them at, you know, $720 to $900 with all those various finish options. But for these two, they went a step up in terms of the materials and the finish, and these to me are targeted right at collectors. You know, they're not quite to the level of, I would say, the Benchmade Gold class, but it feels like Microtech could produce a further version of the Tachyon III that attempts to take on that particular market. And if they did, I would be happy to buy it, because I'm, you know, nuts. But this is the first Damascus version of the Tachyon III that was released. The handles here, they've been anodized bronze and given what Microtech calls the apocalyptic finish. I'm not quite sure what that is. It looks kind of like a heavy stone wash. But the blade on this one is Chad Nichols boomerang Damascus steel. And I quite like the pattern on this. The line down here almost looks like a Hayman line. All of the hardware on these has a bronze finish. The pocket clip on this one is also Damascus steel, and I quite like the juxtaposition between the blade and the clip both being in Damascus. And then this was the second Damascus Tachyon III that Microtech released, and this one has Chad Nichols Intrepid Damascus steel. That's what this pattern is called. All the hardware is bronzed again, including on this one the pocket clip. The pocket clip here is not Damascus. But the handles have been given a DLC coating, and these also have the apocalyptic finish on them. So, I can understand the gripes of the flippers with regards to the Tachyon III, but for me as a collector, I quite appreciate these two Damascus editions. And if Microtech, you know, depending on what they want to do with the line, there's been that $300 to $400 price point production version of the Tachyon III floating around out there. You know, you can see pages for it on places like Blade HQ, but there's never any in stock. I don't know if Microtech actually has any plans to produce that. But, you know, if they wanted to milk more money out of idiots like me, I'd say go even further up market than you have with these. You know, really go after something like a Benchmade Gold class. You know, maybe explore even fancier materials, get some Damascus handles, you know, maybe some inlay, something like that. But I'm quite happy with these two. So, That's just my review of these two Damascus Tachyon IIIs and a couple of my thoughts on the possible future directions of the line. Thanks for listening.